What is marriage? Marriage is a union. Okay. Now, when you say union, it means much more than a sexual relationship. In marriage, it means responsibility of and for. Okay. So, marriage is not just being together, but marriage also means to be responsible for and to somebody, which doesn't happen in a live-in relationship. In a live-in relationship, you have companionship, you have physical, mental, emotional, intellectual compatibility, okay? And you have an exit clause. Marriage, all of these plus responsibility for and to. So as a wife, then you become responsible to and for your husband. As a husband, he becomes responsible for and to you. Again, so this is the basic and the biggest difference between and the institution of marriage and between a live-in relationship. Think? Second, this sense of responsibility has to be within a framework. Okay? You can't just say, well, I'm responsible to this person and I'm responsible for this person. The framework is faith as well as society. Okay? So, institution of marriage then becomes much more than two people. It becomes responsibility to and responsible for society.
Yeah.
Okay? Responsibility to and responsibility for the faith or the spiritual aspect. आप उसको रिलीजन कह सकते हैं, आप उसको गॉड कह सकते हैं, आप उसको चर्च कह सकते हैं, उसको फेथ कह सकते हैं. So marriage is communion of two people, lifelong union of two people, in which not only is there every kind of compatibility, but this compatibility has the additional responsibility of and towards a person,
And the society.
a faith and a society. Okay. That is why marriage takes place where? In a church. Marriage takes place in the presence of people.
Society.
ठीक है ना? You have civil marriage. Now somebody would argue and say कि civil marriage में तो 4 लोग होते हैं. But for civil marriage, there is a 1 month of declaration period where this notice goes on the board.
Yeah.
Because there is a responsibility towards the society.
Yeah.
ठीक है? So ये पहली चीज़, if you want to note it, if you want to record it,
I'll
कहीं
record
पे.
again.
Marriage is a lifelong union between a man and a woman. Not two men, not two women, a man and a woman. Where you have physical, sexual, emotional and intellectual compatibility. This union is defined as compatibility. With additional responsibility for and towards the other person, for and towards faith, for and towards society. ठीक है? God मैं इसलिए नहीं कह रहा हूँ because God has been existed from the time when the institution of marriage was not even there. ठीक है? Primal times में जब लोग ऐसे ही डिक्लेयर करके अंडरस्टैंडिंग में शादी हो जाती थी and they used to have acceptance मतलब moral social acceptance था. Nobody pointed a finger at them. Though there wasn't a ceremony per se, but that was the institution. So God has seen all these things.
Yeah.
ठीक है? But faith, the faith that you represent. Okay. Second thing. See, purpose of marriage को खोलो. What does it say? We are here in the presence of God to witness the marriage of, to support them with our prayers and to share their joy. So interestingly, the marriage of two people begin with
Share.
we,
Yeah.
the congregation. नहीं? Interesting नहीं है?
Yeah.
The first word of
Word
the
is
marriage
we.
liturgy includes the
Society.
people, the society, the church, not you two. They are gathered here to witness the marriage of these two people and not just gather, हंसी खाए पिए और चले गए, with prayers and share their joy. So that day we support you with prayers. Thereafter we share your joy continuously. So we are part of your marriage. ठीक है? According to the teaching of Christ, marriage is a lifelong union between two persons who have been joined together as husband and wife. Okay? Interestingly, many people have twisted कि भाई gays में भी husband and wife हो सकते हैं और lesbians में भी husband and wife हो सकते हैं. But this essentially means a man and a woman. Marriage is part of God's good purpose in creation. Now my question was, what is marriage? है ना? Marriage is God's purpose in creation. ठीक है? So it is not an institution made by the society. It is responsible to the society. It is not an institution made by the family. Though it is responsible to the family. It is not even an institution made by human beings, though they are responsible towards each other. It is an institution that has been made by God Himself. And इस institution की जो शुरुआत है, that is from creation. ठीक है? So not just Adam and Eve, the creation, even before man was created. Okay? It is therefore not to be thought of lightly but held in honor. If it is made by human being, it is a treaty that can be broken. But this is something created as God's purpose in creation. So it is not an experiment, it is not a treaty, it does not have exit clauses. Okay? It is part of God's purpose in creation, which means as long as creation exists. जब तक आसमान और ज़मीन है, the husband and wife should be married or till they die. ठीक है? So apart from death, the only other clause is till heaven and earth are existent. Interesting, you know? Okay. No one should enter upon it rashly.
Yeah.
Very important. ठीक है? This is why you have 3 Sundays of bands, and then after this there is a consent where you will be asked whether the two of you have an objection to it or not. In the bands we ask the congregation whether anyone in the congregation has an objection to it. As per the rule of the church, constitution of the Church of North India. ये नहीं कि नहीं साहब आई लव उपासना तो मैं उसकी शादी नहीं होने दूँ इसलिए मुझे ऑब्जेक्शन नहीं. It is very clear. Law of the land and law of the church. That is the reason.
The proofs and everything.
Yes. And then after that, even the two people have to first give in their consent. The priest cannot go beyond that if either of the two people withdraw. Okay? Rashly is the word used here because many a times in our culture, men and women are pushed into marriage.
Yeah.
Okay? My second question to you was, why marriage? One of the answers for that is because everybody is getting married. Okay? Everyone among your peers have got married already. Okay? Every cousin, niece, nephew has got married. You see, these are the reasons for people to get married. And then I love somebody, I want to be with that person, The society does not sanction me to be with that person. Marriage is the only way I can be with that person. These are the reasons. Okay? But biblically it's very clear. These are not the reasons. Reason is that God chose a man and a woman to come together in this lifelong union, which is part of His creation package.
From the beginning.
Okay? Heavens and earth separated, light and darkness separated, creation of marine life, biological life, birds, creation of vegetation, finally creation of man, and then to complete that man, a woman.
Yeah.
See, so this is a package. So creation of space is attached to the creation and lifelong union of man and woman. Okay? So it's not 14th November. It is BC, पता नहीं कब का.
Yeah.
ठीक है? So what we believe is that the ordination of marriage takes place at the time of creation. Not your creation, the creation. So God has ordained you to be married to this person at the time of creation. है ना खूबसूरत?
Yeah.
ठीक है? So हमने तो 2013 से प्लान शुरू किया.
Yeah.
But God planned it at the time of creation. So then think of marriage in terms of how much more accountable and responsible people are or should be when they get married.
Yeah.
So then you are not answerable to each other, you are not answerable to parents, you are not only answerable to the church, to the people who are witnessing your marriage, but you are answerable to God. ठीक है? But they should enter with it. आजा सनी. कितना लेट कर दिया तुम दोनों ने. Good afternoon. This is Upasna.
Hi.
Sunny Bunny. I'm sorry. I had to do that. ठीक है? Upasna is getting married on 14th November.
Thank you. Same to you.
28th. ठीक है? 28th ही है ना? मैंने सही बोला. 28th November. ठीक है? And we just discussed that this compatibility is physical, sexual, emotional, intellectual. Okay? Apart from that compatibility, then there is also responsibility. So then you are responsible to and for the person. Then this responsibility is also towards your faith, your church. And then this responsibility is also for and towards your society. So marriage is not between two people. Marriage is a union of two people which generates responsibility towards each other, for each other, towards your faith, church, and for it, and towards your society and for it. Okay? So the element of responsibility is very integral to marriage. Not just commitment, responsibility. Okay? Now we were looking in this book. This was 353. So most probably, because I'm going to use this for her wedding, most probably Reverend Victor is going to use the same for your wedding. So we will follow this. ठीक है? इसमें 353 में we are in the passage which says purpose of marriage. Okay? And the first paragraph itself says, we are here in the presence of God to witness the marriage of so and so, to support them with our prayers and to share with their joy. अच्छा, अब शादी किसकी है? दुल्हा दुल्हन, लड़के लड़की. ठीक है? But the order of worship starts with we, which means the people. You know, so this is very interesting. We were just discussing this. ये इतनी interesting चीज़ है कि people should not understand that only two people are getting married. and then they become exclusive to themselves. No, it is two people getting married in the vicinity of a religious place, a church per se, with the presence of people whose purpose to attend the marriage is not because कोई रिश्तेदार है, कोई friend है, कोई curiosity है, but they are here to witness this marriage. At the time to offer prayers and in the lifelong to share your joy. You see? So if you this you see the शादी का cards that we print and send, so then you ask yourself, जितने लोगों को हम शादी का कार्ड दे रहे हैं वो इस फर्स्ट पैसेज में आते हैं क्या? You know, we end up realizing we give, you know, wedding invitation to so many people, but it's exclusively says that people who are witnessing your marriage are the people who will support you by prayer and will support you by being part of your joy. So these are very important people who are there. They should be considered very important. Then, according to Christ, marriage is a lifelong union between two people who have been joined together as husband and wife. So, the element of a man and a woman, not two men, not two women. Continue straight away. Third, marriage is a part of God's good purpose in creation. Okay? So, marriage is not ordained in 2013. आपकी शादी, your marriage was ordained when God created heaven and earth. It was before you were created, before your parents were created. God had perceived you already, or God had in His creation conceived you already, and that is where your wedding was ordained. So हम ये वो सिर्फ आपकी वेडिंग को फैसिलिटेट करेंगे, but your wedding is ordained in creation of God. Therefore, the admonition is, nobody should take it lightly but hold it in honor. Okay? So it's not an experiment. It is not. Why? Because everybody else around us is getting married. है ना? लड़की की एज निकलती जा रही है, उसके सारे कजन्स की शादी हो गई है, रिश्तेदार पूछने लगे हैं कि शादी कब होगी कब होगी. These are not the reasons. These are not the purpose for marriage. लड़का बिगड़ रहा है, इसकी शादी करवा दो, ठीक हो जाएगा. You see, this is what we base marriages on. But the Bible tells us that marriage is ordained as part of God's creation. Therefore, nobody should take it lightly. कोई भी इसको हल्के तौर से ना ले. उर्दू में जो लफ्ज़ है, कोई भी इसको हल्के तौर से ना ले. But should enter upon, and no one should enter upon it rashly. Yeah? Which means we think about it, we pray about it, we meditate on it, and just because everything has been done and we have to get married. No. It has to be a preparation, a very, very spiritual and a very, very prayerful preparation. Okay? So while the girl wants to prepare herself for the wedding night and the guy wants to prepare himself for the wedding night, हम जिम ज्वाइन करें, हम पार्लर ज्वाइन करें, हम ये करें वो करें. What about that spiritual aspect? Do we get down on our knees and we pray for God to guide us for the marriage? So while यहाँ कार्ड्स छप रहे हैं, यहाँ पे ऑर्डर्स हो रहे हैं, यहाँ पे सब कुछ हो रहा है, where is God in all this? It is very important to think of it. Where is the spiritual preparation for this wedding? You are two different people, born and brought up in two different families, two different culture, two different thought process, and you are planning to spend the rest of your life together. केटरर कौन है? टेंट किसका लगेगा? शादी किस चर्च में होगी? कौन सा पादरी पड़ेगा? Has no bearing on this. The only thing that will prepare you for a lifelong union is a preparation done in prayer and spiritually. See, nothing else can contain two people together for 30, 40, 50 years. Today we have a celebration, 50 years celebration. Nothing short of God's intervention can bring two people together and hold them together for 30, 40, 50 years. So that preparation has to start from now, not after marriage. It has to start from now. And it has to be done in reverence and discretion and in the love which is the gift of God Himself. Okay? So one thing that is the basis of marriage is love. Nothing else. सारी equations हट जाएंगी and if there is love, marriage will survive each and everything. You know, I always take this example, शादी के अंडा होता है, अंडा, कच्चा अंडा, उसके शेल को आप किस चीज़ से तोड़ सकते हैं? कच्चे अंडे के शेल को किस चीज़ से तोड़ सकते हैं? ये पिंकी फिंगर जो होता है, उसका जो नेल होता है, उससे भी मारोगे तो टूट जाएगा. ठीक है, इतना डेलिकेट होता है. बट इफ यू कीप दिस एग, कच्चा अंडा, कि इसका सेंटर ऑफ ग्रेविटी 0 हो, प्रिसाइज, और उसके ऊपर आप एक हाथी खड़ा कर दो, इट विल नॉट ब्रेक. दिस इज अ साइंटिफिक फैक्ट. एज एन इंजीनियर यू बोथ नो दिस. ठीक है, मैरिज इज लाइक दिस, so delicate कि smallest of smallest and insignificant things can break it. But if it is set correct, if it is set right, if the angle of the marriage is correct, it can withstand biggest force, weight and trauma that comes to it. That is marriage. और वो कैसे हो सकता है? Once both husband and wife are in love with each other and in love with God. Element of God is very important. आप मुस्लिम्स की बात कर लें, आप हिंदूस की बात कर लें, आप सिख्स की बात कर लें. That is the reason why all religious marriages also take place in a religious manner. चाहे आप हिंदू वेडिंग लीजिए, आप क्रिश्चियन लीजिए, इस्लामिक लीजिए, जैन, बुद्धिस्ट, कोई भी लीजिए, शादी उनकी सबकी रिलीजियस तरीके से ही होती है. बिकॉज नोबडी कैन डिनाई द फैक्ट दैट द प्रेजेंस ऑफ गॉड इन मैरिज इज मस्ट. ठीक है, सो admonition, nobody should take it lightly but with reverence and discretion and in the love which is the gift of God. Then it is God's will that in marriage the love of man and woman should come to fulfillment in their whole life together in mutual companionship. Now this is the second purpose of marriage. First purpose is we marry because it is God's purpose in creation for us. The second is because love of the man and a woman would come to a fulfillment in their whole life together in mutual companionship, helpfulness and care. Now in तीन चीज़ों में all the traditional set roles given to men and women must dissolve. Because if it is mutual companionship, तो खाना कौन बनाएगा और कपड़े कौन धोएगा, बाजार कौन जाएगा और घर के काम कौन करेगा, does not have any bearing there. Allotted roles. The husband would work and the wife will take care of the house. That was the allotted role. But if it is mutual companionship, mutual helpfulness and mutual care, then where is the place for roles? If everything is mutual. ठीक है, so बच्चा पैदा करने का छोड़ करके everything that she does you have to do.
I'm recording it.
right? Which means if you expect her to do the dishes, you have to do the dishes with her. If you expect her to cook, you have to learn to cook. If you expect her to do housework, you have to do the housework. God has made man and woman in a different way, but it doesn't work in such a way कि खाना सिर्फ औरत ही बनाएगी. This is very interesting. The best chefs in the world are men. घर में कौन बनाता है? Mama, sister, wife. This is very interesting. This is the roles that we have prescribed. These roles are anti-Bible. These roles are anti-Bible. Because if there is mutual companionship, helpfulness and care, then there is no role apart from that one biological role. There is no role exclusively to any gender. By the grace of God, this love grows and deepens with the years. Now this is very interesting. Okay? The entry point is love. Even for two people who have not known each other for what? More than 6 months now? 3-4 months? You for maybe 6 months, 7 months? 8 months. Count kar rahi hai. Okay? And yet you are talking about spending your life with this person. You are thinking about sleeping with this person, bearing a child for this person. What is the basis? It cannot be anything short of love. You are thinking of bringing a woman into your life. You are thinking of putting certain restrictions on your independence. You are thinking of getting somebody into your space. Love, the only thing. And the interesting thing is that if there is mutual care, okay, mutual companionship, then this love will deepen. Then it will not be a burden, it will only become more strong. Okay? And there would be a time जब आंखों आंखों में बात कर पाओगे and the others would not know कि आपने क्या बात करी. Because then you will be able to understand each other. Then you would be able to cover each other. Okay? Then you will not be competitors. किसकी सैलरी ज़्यादा है, किसको घर में ज़्यादा गिफ्ट्स मिलते हैं, कौन ज़्यादा अच्छा काम कर सकता है, इंटेलेक्चुअली कौन ऊपर है, फिजिकली या इमोशनली या स्पिरिचुअली कौन स्ट्रॉन्ग है. Marriage is not competition. Unfortunately, we get into that. But marriage is not competition between a husband and wife. Marriage is companionship. And by, you will learn to, withdraw that competitive part and submit to the other person. And that is what we say that love is growing and love is getting deeper. Such love in marriage is the foundation of true family life. Such love in marriage is God's appointed way, and it is for the continuance of human race. Creation story yaad hai? Adam was alone. He was sad. So God said, okay, you give the name, you keep the name of all these creations. तो उसने सबके नाम करने शुरू कर दिए. Still he was sad, and then God said, it is not good for man to be alone. Genesis 1:2. And then God created a helper for him. Okay? Interestingly, the word in Hebrew is ezer, companion. 20 times this word has been used in Old Testament. 18 times for God and 2 times for human. Now think of it in terms of जिसने भी बाइबल ट्रांसलेट करी या लिखी थी, he has used of companionship that has been used for God as the companion or helper to the people of Israel. So that is the position the woman has been given to a man. Okay? So when you talk about पहले कौन बना, सेकंड कौन बना, किसकी हड्डी में से, किसकी रिब में से कौन बना, those things become, insignificant. Because what becomes more meaningful is why the man was created and why the woman was created. And then God said, go fulfill my work. Go spread out and go have dominion over all my creation. He did not say that to Adam or to Eve. He said to both of them, go and have dominion over the entire creation and multiply. So that love in marriage is God's appointed way of the continuance of human race and bringing up of children in an atmosphere of security and trust. ठीक है? बच्चे जानवरों के भी पैदा होते हैं, right? But do they survive as a family? नहीं. और जो लोग प्रभु को नहीं जानते हैं उनके भी बच्चे पैदा होते हैं. बट अगर फैमिली तितर बितर हुआ है, dislodged family है, so we say this family is a broken family and these children come from a broken family. And you can see their psyche, you can see their behavior, and you can make out कि इस बच्चे का जो family है, this child has come from a broken family. Because that child is not complete, that child is not secured. Okay? But यहाँ responsibility क्या है? You are ordained by God to be a man and a wife. You are ordained to be by God to base your relationship on mutual companionship, helpfulness and care, and you are being given the responsibility of continuing of human race, which means God is giving you the responsibility of becoming a parent. You see? So it's not just two men, women and coming together and conceiving a child. No. अगर सिर्फ इतना ही होता, इस दुनिया में इतने लोग हैं जिनके बच्चे नहीं हो पा रहे. क्यों नहीं हो पा रहे? There would be some reason. But अगर हो रहे हैं तो इसका मतलब God is thinking and considering this couple to be a couple that would be ideal parents, जिनके घर में मेरा भेजा हुआ जीवन जो है would find an atmosphere of security and safety. And this is a family which is based on Christian love. ठीक है? So while you are just thinking of marriage, the Bible is preparing you for parenthood. The Bible is preparing you for becoming not just a husband and a wife, but Christian parents and Christian responsible leaders. Because that is what you're going to be. So you're going to be responsible to each other and for each other. You're going to be responsible to and for the church. You are going to be responsible to and for the society. So that is why this liturgy covers your role as husband and wife, not just between the two of you, but for your future. And that is the purpose of marriage, and that is where marriage is, we say, ordained. यहाँ पर आकर हम कहते हैं कि इसलिए शादी होनी चाहिए. Okay? My first question was why marriage? What is marriage? And then second question was why marriage? क्यों होनी चाहिए? ठीक है? Now my third question is, see, why her? Why him? Exactly. Upasna, why him? सोचा है? I mean, all these 3, 4 and 8 months सोचा है why him, why her? मतलब ऐसा तो है नहीं कि और कोई हैंडसम नहीं दिखा, ना तुमको बहुत दिखे होंगे, कोई तुमको खूबसूरत लड़की नहीं दिखी. Why her? Why him? Think about it. It's a very, very important question. Because every time that you guys fight, this is the question you're going to ask yourself.
That is why I'm looking.
Yeah, this is the question you're going to ask. Why did I get married to this woman? Why did I get married to this man? And that is an answer most of us do not think about, because we are scared of the answer. Okay? It says here, they will give their consent to each other and will make solemn promises to each other. As a symbol of this, they will give and receive ring, and we will pray with them for God's blessing on their married life. You know why this passage here is? I believe, मेरा ये मानना है, ये इसलिए है so that nobody can say later on that I was pushed into it, that I did not want to get married to this particular person. ठीक है ना? If I asked, आज से 8 महीने पहले अगर मैंने उपासना से पूछा होता, उपासना what kind of guy do you want, she would have given me a list. You would have given me a list. You would have given me a list. But when that actual person is now with us, we are not able to point out कि ये लिस्ट में से कौन सा वाला है कि this is the person. है ना? वो tall, dark, handsome, वो अच्छा 5 figure salary, check. ठीक है? उसके बाद good family, check. Christian, check. Mainline Christian, check. Daily based, check. सब कुछ आ गया. वो चेकलिस्ट में से मे बी 80-90% कंप्लीट हो गया. अब जब आ गया है तो भी हम नहीं बता पा रहे कि वाई हिम. चेकलिस्ट थी ना दिमाग में, सबके होती है ना? पतली, सुंदर, ये वो, लंबे बाल होने चाहिए, ऐसी आंखें होनी चाहिए, हम सबकी थी. बट व्हेन द पर्सन इज एक्चुअली देयर, वी आर नॉट एबल टू पॉइंट आउट. व्हाई? Because our checklist is always made on the premises that this is the perfect person. We want the perfect partner. So हमारा जो कहते हैं ना वो मैट्रिमोनियल कॉलम का जो लिस्ट होती है, that is always an ideal list कि 100 पर टारगेट करो, 80 तो मिल ही जाएगा, like that. And yet, it is very difficult to say why I married this particular person. There is a question one needs to ask constantly. मलाकी की पुस्तक में एक बड़ा अच्छा लिखा है, चैप्टर 2 and 3 उसको पढ़ना. Okay? और हिंदी में लिखा है, क्या और नहीं थे, परमेश्वर ने इसी को तेरे लिए चुना है. Okay? Now वो हिंदी की ट्रांसलेशन है, इंग्लिश की ट्रांसलेशन थोड़ी सी फर्क है. बट इट मेक्स मी थिंक दैट इफ गॉड ऑर्डेन्स मैरिजेस एट द टाइम ऑफ क्रिएशन, तो क्या उसने सेलेक्ट नहीं किया होगा दो लोगों को? एंड इफ गॉड हैड सेलेक्टेड दिस पर्सन फॉर मी, देन दिस इज द पर्सन आई एम गेटिंग मैरिड टू. देन माई चॉइस, माई चेकलिस्ट बिकम्स सेकेंडरी टू गॉड्स चेकलिस्ट. Because that is his purpose, right? अरेंज मैरिजेस में क्या होता है? अरेंज मैरिजेस में हम कहते हैं अच्छा आपने टेक्निकली देखो तो तुम दोनों की ही अरेंज मैरिज है, राइट? टेक्निकली आप दोनों कपल्स की अरेंज मैरिज है. सो पेरेंट्स ने देखा, बात करी, पेरेंट्स की आपस में बात हुई, यू सॉ द कंपैटिबिलिटीज, और कहा चलो ठीक है, हमको लगता है ये फैमिली में और ये लड़का लड़की एक दूसरे के साथ ठीक हो जाएगा. So you left it to the parents to say the final yes. ठीक है, am I right? And yet we have so much of difficulty in believing that God could have also made the same choice. What parents did for us, the person that parents chose for us, is the same person that God had chosen for us before time. Okay? And that is why there is a consent here, and then there are promises here, and then there is a symbol of the promise. Okay? Section 4 is a very important section. अगर आप उसको पढ़ो तो वहाँ लिखा है, if anyone present knows any just cause why these two persons may not lawfully marry according to the discipline of the church and the law of this land, let him now come forward and declare it, or else forever hold his peace. Okay? Now I was just telling Upasna, this declaration is according to the law of the land of the church. So nobody can just stand up and say, oh, I am in love with this man, so I object to this marriage. I know English filmों में दिखाते हैं. I mean, that's not what it means here. It means here that people who are witnessing this marriage are also aware that these two people are capable, are compatible, and will be responsible to each other, to the church and to the society. Okay? So now this is the stamp your Bharat is giving you. This is the affirmation the Bharat is giving you. By not saying or not raising an objection, they are actually saying, we support this. Okay? You get the point? Non-negativity means affirmation. So they are saying, no, this couple and this marriage has our blessings. But then there is also an exit clause for the two parties. Next paragraph, I require and charge you both in the presence of God and of this congregation, that if either of you know any reason why you may not lawfully marry, you must declare it. Lawfully कहाँ आ गया? Previous page में, when you are taking it lightly, when you take it without honor, when you enter upon it rashly, third paragraph में, then you have a place to say, I have not thought about it enough, I have not prayed about it enough, I think this was a rash decision. This is the place where you finally say, I affirm that this is honorable, I affirm that this is prayerfully prepared, I affirm that this is not a haste or a rash or a pressurized decision. I affirm by keeping quiet that this is the person I am getting married to and I want to get married to. Okay? So by keeping quiet, the congregation and the two of you are actually endorsing this marriage. ठीक है? वो exit clause इसके बाद खत्म हो गया. इसके बाद it is a lifelong union. It is in sickness and in health. It is in each and every circumstance. Any feedback, any comment यहाँ तक? Before we go to the consent. ठीक है, पेज 355 पे. Okay. Now this is the consent. Interestingly, this consent is, in many cultures is said by the groom and the bride. हमारे यहाँ पे the priest says and they follow. Okay. But in your case, I may actually not read it and just tell you guys to read it yourself. rather than just saying I will with God's help.
Okay.
ठीक है? So this is very important. I so and so will take you so and so to be my lawful wedded wife, to live together according to God's holy law in the state of marriage. I will love you, I will honor you, and I will be a faithful husband to you as long as you both shall live. You see? अब फर्क सोचो, अगर मैं ये क्वेश्चन कर रहा हूँ, निपुण, will you take Upasana to be your lawful wedded wife, to live together according to God's holy law in the state of marriage? Will you love her, honor her, and be a faithful husband to her as long as you both shall live? और वो कुछ मम्बल कर देगा, 6 महीने के बाद बोलेगा, oh, I have been in America for these many years. I couldn't understand a word the pastor was saying. फंस गया? You know, एक मैरिज मैंने अटेंड करी थी जिसमें पादरी साहब ने उर्दू में वाउस करवाए. ठीक है? राजेंद्र भैया के बेटे बाबा उर्दू में वाउस करवाए. मेरी उर्दू काफ़ी अच्छी है, वो उर्दू मेरे ऊपर से भी निकल गई. तो मैंने उनसे कहा, भैया ये उर्दू बच्चों को समझ आ रही होगी? कहने लगे, चलने दे, कभी विड्रॉ करना होगा तो कह देंगे उर्दू थी, हमारी तो मदर टंग भी नहीं है. See, but there is a different thing when you make a statement. इसमें क्वेश्चन मार्क्स आ रहे हैं. Will you, as if you know I am asking you and you are standing for an interview. But when you say, I take you to be my lawful wedded wife, to live together according to God's holy law in the state of marriage, I will love you, I will honor you, and I will be faithful husband to you as long as we both shall live. The impact of that is commitment, and not just answering in one line question, I will with God's help. You will only with God's help. किसी और सास की हेल्प से तो ये कर ही नहीं पाएंगे, ये गॉड की हेल्प से ही होगा. But then the statement and the question are two different things. तो तेरे साथ इसको भी एडिट करेंगे.
अब तो हो गया है.
मैं नहीं जानता, फिर इसको रिवर्स कुछ करेंगे.
नहीं तो हम कर लेंगे.
ठीक है ना?
प्रिंटेड रहने
वो रहने दो फिर. ठीक है? You will do this. Then the woman will do the same. Okay? Now in our culture, now this is very interesting. In Christian marriage, a woman has an equal part in making commitments. Hindu marriages में 6 फेरे, 4 फेरे लड़के के होते हैं, 3 फेरे लड़की के होते हैं. ठीक है? Still एक फेरा कम होता है, and it is acceptance of whatever he is saying. But in Christian marriage, you will see it is the exact same words. So the commitment is matched, and the commitment is matched on an individual basis. So if she says, I love you, so it is that she's saying, I will love you, I will honor you, I will be faithful to you. We always think that unfaithfulness सिर्फ लड़कों में होती है. ठीक है? But we see the scenario, and even a girl can be unfaithful, even a wife can be unfaithful. So this is very significant, very, very significant. And then you have the marriage pledge. ठीक है? Tokens of marriage तक करके फिर we will conclude. Marriage pledge में, now these are the circumstances which we talk about. From this day forward, इससे पहले जो कुछ हुआ null and void. From this day forward, I will take you to be my lawful wedded wife, to have and to hold, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, according to God's holy law, till death do us part. ठीक है? And to this I pledge myself before God and before these witnesses. The exit clause is death, not divorce. You note this? It's not divorce, it is death. Now many people have misused this. Families have misused this. Okay, you said till death do us part, कि जब तक मृत्यु हमें जुदा ना करे। तो या तो इसको मार दो, तब तुम दूसरी से शादी कर दो, मृत्यु हमें जुदा ना करे, या डिवोर्स कर लो, right? We'll come to that later, because it says to be my lawful wedded wife, to have and to hold. It means not just to have as in to consummate the marriage, but to hold on to that person, to be committed to that person. It means for better or for worse. It means if I see a beautiful woman after you and I think this would make a better wife, okay, that is a thought. But you can't go according to that thought. You get the point? This is very important. You will meet a man after your marriage and you will look at that person and you will say, wow, this guy would have made a much better husband. You will meet somebody like that. You will meet somebody like that. But the fact remains that you have this very person with you to love, to have and to hold. So even if you have somebody later on in your vision जो कि आपको लगे, oh, this would have made a better wife or a better husband. That is human curiosity. Okay. ठीक है. ऐसा नहीं है कि शादी के बाद आप लड़के देखना बंद कर देंगे और आप लड़की देखना बंद कर देंगे और आप लड़के देखना बंद कर देंगे. But this one person with you is the person with whom you will share your love. है ना? Loving God with all your heart, mind, soul and strength. सुना है कहीं पे? उसके बाद क्या है? Loving your neighbor as yourself. कौन है neighbor? Spouse becomes the first neighbor, right? This one on your right or your left is your first neighbor. So loving God and loving the spouse goes together. ठीक है? You may see another God and think कि यार ये God थोड़ा ज़्यादा सही है. You know, ये गणपति जो है, he is very interesting character. ये हनुमान जो है, ये वो करता है जो मैं करना चाहता हूँ. मतलब ये मार धाड़ तोड़ फोड़ करके सब सही कर देता है. I also want to do that. My God says turn your other cheek, and he is saying, I'm not criticizing them, but I'm just saying that many a times there are things that seem more fantastic and better, and yet I am committed to this God and this wife and this husband, to have and to hold. For better, for worse, for richer, poorer, sickness and in health, love and cherish, till death do us part.
And this in health is means that even if you have any contagious disease or something, if you have cold,
HIV/AIDS.
yeah, anything, then also he has to be.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, yes, yes.
He used to say that he'll go in a hotel or something when you have cold.
Who would say?
Nipun was saying.
Oh.
No, na?
Nipun, you can't do that. There is a beautiful testimony about a woman. Her husband contracted HIV/AIDS एक सर्जरी के बाद, एंड अमेरिका में थी, एंड उसका टाइटल है बुक का इन सिकनेस एंड, कहीं देखना अगर अमेजन वगैरह पे कहीं पे मिलेगी. हाउ दिस वुमन स्टक टू हर हस्बैंड. शी स्टक टू हिम टिल द एंड बिकॉज शी वांटेड टू go by this. She says her friends told her it's okay. I mean, you are found that you are not infected. He is infected. It is okay. You can make your own life. He tells her you can make your own life. I am going to die eventually. She did not give up on him. She knew he would die. She told everybody, I know he would die, but till he dies, I will fulfill my promise of sickness and health. Okay, so I mean that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing. You have to honor that. You can't go to hotels. Yeah.
He's just kidding, actually.
Okay, and then the token of marriage. And this is very important. Token of marriage. It's a reminder to you and to the others. And the ring is a symbol of the pledge, the vow, the consent, and the purpose. Okay, so purpose of marriage, the consent of marriage, the pledge of marriage, all these come together into this one symbol. Okay, so every time you see this, it reminds you of the pledge that you have taken. It reminds you that this was your consent, and it reminds you that this is the purpose and the will of God. Okay, incidentally, wedding bands का एक बड़ा interesting चीज़ होती है. Wedding bands do not have a joint. ठीक है, it's very significant. Wedding bands do not have joints. ये एक ही कास्ट में बनता है. And the reason is that marriage cannot have joints. It has to be of a single mold. So all these promises that you've done, they come together in a single caste. Okay? That is why आजकल तो खैर वो डायमंड्स हो गए हैं, डिफरेंट हो गए हैं, बट व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट द सिंबल ऑफ मैरिज, इट इज़ अ वेडिंग बैंड. नाउ ऑफ कोर्स देयर आर अदर थिंग्स, मैरिजेस हैं, डिक्लेरेशन हैं, देयर आर थियोलॉजिकल थिंग्स. First Corinthians is a beautiful chapter, chapter 13, and especially the section when we talk about love. Okay, now अभी तक जितना basis आया है marriage का is love. Okay, and the kind of love that is not just the love of God. है ना? Now what Paul is trying to say is that what love does is within the capability of human beings. So sometimes we say, oh, this is agape, the divine love. I do not believe that. Okay? It is only the language. Greek language में उसको 3 शब्दों में divide कर दिया. But you either have love or you don't have love. ठीक है? So many times I have asked this question, what is the opposite of love? People would say it is hate. It is not hate. The opposite of love is not to love. As simple as that. So you either love or you don't love. So when you love, so whether it is erotic love, it is friendly love, it is divine love, however you want to describe it, it is love. And if you don't love, you don't love. Finish. Okay? And what does this love do? It is patient. It is kind. It is not envious, not boastful, not arrogant, not rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things. Bears का मतलब पता है क्या होता है? It suffers all things. So love means you have to be willing to suffer whatever treatment is being meted out to you. Believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Now ये passage पहले पढ़ा है ना, सुना भी है. Apply this in your marriage. It becomes a very very scary passage. जब तक ये दूसरे के ऊपर लागू होता है ना, बहुत अच्छा है. मम्मी पापा की एनिवर्सरी पे, किसी और पे. When you apply it to your own marriage and you tell yourself, boss, this is what is expected of me. That I do not become impatient, that I am always kind, that I am not boastful, arrogant or rude, that I do not insist on having my own way. मतलब मैं अपने सारे फैमिली में सबसे बड़ा हूँ, मेरी हर डिमांड पूरी की गई. And here I am being told that you do not insist on your own way. मैं अपने फैमिली में सबसे छोटी हूँ, मेरी सारी डिमांड्स पूरी की गई हैं. एंड हियर द एक्सपेक्टेशन इज दैट आई डोंट हैव माय ओन वे. You get my point? It is not irritable or resentful. It is not irritable or resentful. The day you have a problem with your boss, you cannot come home and show it. Irritable and resentful. When you are going through the monthlies, irritable and resentful, but you can't show that. As simple as that. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing. It does not, it bears all things. And above all, it has hope and it has endurance. जे के टायर में एंड्योरेंस होता है, बट वो कह रहे हैं कि लव हैज़ एंड्योरेंस. उसकी माइलेज 40,000 किलोमीटर है. दिस इज 40 years. बट यू हैव टू मेक इट वर्क. दैट इज़ वॉट लव. इससे पहले का जो पैसेज है वो मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगता है और हिंदी में बड़ा अच्छा है. यदि मैं मनुष्यों की और स्वर्गदूतों की बोली बोलूं और प्रेम ना करूं तो मैं ठनठनाता हुआ पीतल और झनझनाती हुई झांझ. यू नो, आफ्टर दैट कम्स दिस सेक्शन ऑफ Corinthians 13 के आई मे टॉक हाइपर स्पिरिचुअल, I may talk best of spiritual language. I may claim to have the gift of speaking in tongues, but if I do not have love, I am just a lot of noise and a sound. That is all I am. ठीक है? So we come to this point. Next section में हम थोड़ा सा पर्सनल लेवल के ऊपर जाएंगे. ठीक है? Now this was marriage. ठीक है? Now next session will be more about you and how individually you can prepare yourself for marriage. That is important. Okay? But I would suggest कि एक बार इसको आप पढ़ करके, ये जो पैसेज हमने पढ़ा है इसको अच्छी तरीके से पढ़ लीजिए and reflect on it. Think about it. Okay? Because whatever else you do in these sessions, in the marriage and in the marriage life, the basis will be the same. This will be the same. And whenever you come up against a block, this is the reminder which will tell you how you can go forward in spite of all the adversities and all the difficulties. ठीक है? 2 things हमेशा याद रखिएगा शादी में. Do not think that any of these sessions will make you or help you to become the best husband or the best wife. No. In fact, these sessions will only prepare you for the bad times, not for the good times. I don't have to prepare you for the good times. You know how to handle it. But for the bad times, these sessions will help you in accepting changes that will be with marriage and adapting to changes जो कि होंगी personally, family में, space में, your own space and your sharing. Okay? So these are some of the things we are going to touch in these sessions. Okay? That is why we prefer के couples साथ में आए, so that these things are very open and touching, and you feel like crying, you cry, you feel like laughing, you laugh. But this should be some areas of transparency before you get into marriage, so that आप बाद में ये ना कहो कि मुझे नहीं पता था ये इंसान ऐसा निकलेगा या ये ऐसी निकलेगी. That part nobody can prepare you, even I can't prepare you. There would be certain part of the person that you will only find out after marriage. ठीक है? उतना हम सब अपने आप को ना छुपा के रखते ही. And that is a special part also that a husband would reveal for a wife, or wife for a husband. Some of these are weaknesses, some of these are strengths, some are things you may be ashamed of, some are things you are proud of. But we need to prepare you to accept that and not take it as if it is a shock in life. ठीक है? Now second thing, time. हमें टाइम का आप सेट करिए